Welcome everybody, this is Roy Bhandari and today we are at the amazing sales office for Transit City Condos and I'm joined by Jason Lamb, Vice President of Sales and Marketing for CentreCourt Development. So Jason, thank you very much for your time. I know it's been a hectic time, especially with the launch and everything going on, so thank you very much for your time.
I'm glad that we can finally arrange the time to do
came
this.
Together.
Yeah.
So we've got a lot to talk about.
We do.
So just to give sort of the overview of some of the bullet points I want to hit on. Transit City 4 Condos is going to be launching very soon. TC4 Condos.
Early April.
So I want to start by talking about the thing that's got most of our investors and a lot of the agent community excited, and that's the price points.
Yeah.
And then we're going to dial it back a little bit. I want to talk about CentreCourt Developments. They're doing some amazing things in the market right now. I want to highlight some of those things. I want to talk about the enormous growth that's happening in Vaughan right now. There's a brand new downtown being designed from scratch.
Just outside here, we're looking right at it.
And then focusing specifically on the 100-acre parcel that Transit City is going to be built on, the Smart Centres place. And then once we've got all that out of the way, we want to talk about TC4 Condos itself.
Okay.
So let's start from the top, price points. As we know, we've seen some escalation in pricing. You look at a lot of condos, and knowing what we know about this condominium, I genuinely believe this to be probably one of the best options by some distance that an investor looking in the market right now will look at and want to get into. Give me sort of the price points that you've been sharing with us, and I've got, like I said, we're excited, our investors are excited. So give us the rundown there.
I'll correct you, and I will say that it is the best price point in the marketplace relative to our story, our location, the infrastructure, the development team, between Smart Centers, the partnership with CentreCourt Developments. But to drive it home, I think a lot of people in this marketplace are trying to get into the market, whether it's by way of investing or they're an end user or they're downsizing. We're preaching starting in the 300,000s and all the way to the 4s and up to the 5s. We have nothing in over 600,000 for now. And I think that's really attractive, and I think it's great to say these price points, but I think when you understand the community, when you understand your proximity to global employers, AAA, first-in-class commercial and retail infrastructure, and most importantly, AAA public transportation infrastructure, when the subway is across the street, right in front of you, right before your very eyes, I think that really changes people's tune on that value proposition.
100%.
So you're getting value out of that more than anything else.
Exactly. And we, over the next 15-20 minutes, we're going to talk about, and as that story unfolds, I think anybody watching this video will really get a sense of why we made that statement.
Right.
So let's dial it back a little bit. I want to talk about CentreCourt Developments.
Okay.
Over the last decade or so, they've really come to prominence as arguably one of the most sought after developers from the investor standpoint. The agent community, again, I keep referring to the agent community, but they're such an important piece of this because you get a sense of the excitement about builders. Give us a rundown of how they've gotten to this level.
They started in 2010. Between then and now, we've fully completed 2,500 suites across 5 buildings, and we currently have 5 buildings under construction, including Transit City 1, 2, and 3. And really what they're all about is just having core principles that they're driven by that make them want to be the best in class. They compare themselves to their competitors and quantify through statistics and data where they can be better, how they can be better. You talked about the agent community sort of being quite aware of what we can do and our track record, and I think that's important because I think a lot of the brokers are frontline.
Sure.
They know the developers, everyone knows the big brands in the GTA, so for agents to say that about us, I think that speaks volumes in what we do and how we conduct ourselves and how we've sort of done our business. So I think that has to say a lot about the success and the continued growth of CentreCourt Developments, and there's so much more to come for us.
The future is very, very bright.
Very much so.
One of a couple of things that I always sort of refer back to is that, and this is not true of all developers, and I'm not saying this just because you're sat here, but we legitimately have a core group of buyers that tell me we will only buy CentreCourt condominiums. And that's because they sort of become this brand attached to CentreCourt. You know they're going to get great locations. You know the floor. Without even seeing the floor plans, you know they're going to be excellent. Build quality is going to be excellent. So all the sort of things that you believe to be important for a new condo developer, they check all those boxes.
It's important that you said that, because you're right. Above all else, having great principles and wanting to be the best is our team, the entire team, from land acquisition all the way to customer care, we're fully integrated.
Yeah.
So everyone's on the same page. We're a fully aligned development company, but we are incredibly unique in the sense where our execution is probably best in class.
Yeah.
So, hitting delivery, timelines, making sure that our quality is the best in the business, or incredibly competitive. The entire experience from buying to closing, PDI, the entire process is we want to make sure that we stand out above the rest. Having 0 days in interim occupancy is one of the key things that separate us from the rest of the market. So I think, we are in an incredible position today, but I think you'll see over the next, 3, 5, 8, 10, 15 years, the CentreCourt brand, the quality, the reputation, the sites.
Yeah.
They have, we as a group have such a huge mountain to climb, and I think we're just getting started. So, awesome that you're saying these things, but I think there's so much more for us to accomplish.
Awesome. I do want to move on, but I do want to touch on two very quick things. Number one is you mentioned it's all integrated. The companies, and it's not always the sexiest point on a brochure, but the fact that CentreCourt have in-house construction is probably one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. And there's not very many developers that can say they have that. And the fact that CentreCourt have invested in that, I think, is so important. And number two is your construction timelines. I mean, I'm coming back to the agent community again, but because we're on the front lines, we deal with builders all the time. Your date of starting sales to the time that you actually start construction is unbelievable. Like, we look out across the road right now, TC1, 2, and 3.
We're catching up to buildings that sold, call it 2 years before.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
3 years before, and downtown, there's no different. There are, if you pass by a CentreCourt building today, such as 411 Church, you'll see the difference between our building and buildings that are surrounding, and all that comes down to execution and bringing that construction team in-house, which is the construction aspect is the biggest part. Sales and marketing is great, but the biggest part is the development, the business development of it, and bringing this project to life, and then building it. And building it is the one part that I think people often either overvalue or undervalue. And the truth is, it is the biggest part. And for us to be able to hit our targets, to build to the best quality in the business, I think that speaks volumes about us as a development company. We're not just for show. And we do what we say, and we put our money where our mouth is. And when it comes to execution, I don't think there's anyone better in the marketplace. And if there are, I think we're definitely easy in the top bracket of developers in the GTA.
Awesome. Let's talk about Vaughan.
Let's talk about Vaughan.
Let's talk about Vaughan. So, Vaughan is sort of in the midst of this building, what's internally known as the VMC, the Vaughan Metropolitan Centre. It is the brand new downtown Vaughan that is being developed. It's 400 acres. Of the 400 acres, Transit City will sit on probably the most core 100 acre portion of that land. So Transit City is sitting on a piece of land that's known as Smart Centres Place.
Smart Centres Place is a very unique community for us.
Yes. So give us the rundown of what makes Smart Centres Place special.
Smart Centres Place is center ice. It is one of very few communities, master plan communities. Truth is, it's a master plan city that is integrating all of these elements, infrastructure, simultaneously.
I want to pause you 1 second, Jason.
Go
ahead. So you said master plan. I think it's so important to put some context on this. This is a 100 acre master plan within a 400 acre master plan. Before this Smart Centres Place was realized, the largest master plan in Toronto, that is often touted as being one of the biggest in North America, was 69 acres, and that's Regent Park. This is not double, but it's like 1.5 the size of that.
It gives you scale.
You just got. It's always difficult to picture. Okay, what is 100 acres? It's huge. City Place, I believe, is only 55 acres, twice the size of City Place. So when you get to that idea, and like 100 acre redevelopment is enormous.
Absolutely.
So I do want to put that context on. So
and I'm glad you did.
Carry on.
And the vision that Smart Centres has for this community has never been done before in the GTA. You're bringing in global employers where you're building AAA 5-star commercial infrastructure, offices, and retail space that a lot of these global companies, they're going to want to move into these spaces. And then you sort of layer in this huge story that is our public transportation infrastructure. And it is on our land. It is at your doorstep. If you want to get into the subway, if you want to hop on a Viva bus, the YRT, if you want to hop on Brampton Zoom, you can do it by just opening the front door. And there's not very many communities that could say that these items are really at your doorstep. A lot of those are downtown core Toronto, call it Yonge Street, or along the university corridor. There's not many pieces of land that could call that.
I like that you brought up Yonge Street, because of the Vaughan, again, this is all trying to put context on what they're doing here. A lot of people understand what happens in downtown. Of the 400 acres, this 100 acres, like the clearest way to think about what's happening here, this 100 acres is almost like being on Yonge Street in downtown Vaughan. That's the correlation, because you've got the AAA commercial buildings. We're standing right now in the KPMG building. You've got access to the subway. You've got access to the Central Park, which is obviously going to be a huge feature of this. You've not even mentioned the park yet.
No, we haven't gotten there yet.
So this piece of land, like I said, it's so important to understand. Not all of VMC is built the same. This is really the prime pocket of land.
There's never been a master plan community built to this quality with this much infrastructure. And I think that's what separates Smart Centre's place. And that's what will make this the true downtown of Vaughan. Master plan communities sound great, but those are typically just residential. We are integrating so much more than some retail, some commercial. This is a huge game changer in the marketplace. And I think they're going to set the table. I think Smart Centres is going to set the table for how to build to urban plan and to build a community properly. And I think they're taking their time, they're taking the right approach, they're bringing in the right brands, they're sparing no expense. This will be the premier community, and it'll be really cool to see this community erect over 3 to 5 years, because I think when we first sold Transit City 1, 2, and 3, the subway wasn't here. And the bus terminal wasn't here. And the PwC building just behind you there was not here. And we've done more in 2 years, less than 2 years, in this community than I think a lot of other communities have done in 5 years, 10 years. And you can't build a subway or have highways or have this type of infrastructure overnight. They don't happen overnight. So opportunities like this to invest or buy an condominium across the street from all this greatness doesn't come along very often. And I think this is going to be easily the best value, hands down, the GTA.
For sure. I want to touch on the 9-acre park. It runs the strip of in the middle of the Smart Centre place. When we show you the rendering, you can start to imagine like it's going to be lined by amazing retail, coffee shops, restaurants, and that's all designed. It's done very intentionally.
That's right.
To create this community.
This community that is self-sustaining. You won't need to go outside of Smart Centre's place to run an errand, to get your groceries, or to find a job, or to get downtown. This will be fully self-sustaining. So we will attract all walks of life, from the younger generation to the elderly, downsizers, young families, young professionals. The 9-acre park designed by Claude Cormier is a quintessential element to this community to really give us that sense of outdoor feel while sort of building this urban community. And it's going to be surrounded by commercial and residential. There's still a totally unknown story of what's to come. And I think what we know today is incredibly impressive. That no other community could really claim.
I think the point of telling all this story is that to build a good master plan community where property values will grow, where people will want to live. It's not just about condo. It's about commercial space, which we have. It's function. It's running.
Not just any, right?
Top of the line, AAA, KPMG, PwC. It's about having great public space where people can go out and enjoy. We have it. We've talked about the 9-acre park, which is designed by one of the best landscape architects in Canada. And then it's about great retail, which we had Buka in phase 1. The retail plan is starting to come together.
That's right.
And then it's about residential. And what we're talking about here is that all of these elements are coming together in this piece of land.
Simultaneously.
And it's designed by one vision, and that's the most important,
absolutely.
important piece. So, we're so excited about this.
Yeah, so am I. Honestly, it's the most unique. It is the most exciting story I've had the privilege to tell, to share, to work on.
And how often do you get the chance to invest at the ground level of a downtown of this? It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
A massive community, and this is, like you said, it's ground floor.
Yeah.
And before things really start to take off, and I mean, even if you look outside, look at all of that walking traffic.
Mm-hmm.
There are a ton of people that commute through and come through this community, and we're not even close to sort of realizing the potential and the vision that is this community. So once it's up and running, a quarter way through, a halfway through, once it's finally done, it is going to be a complete game changer. It won't just be the downtown of York, Vaughan.
Yeah.
It'll be the downtown, the core of York region. It'll be a major outlet, a major hub of not just public transportation, but culturally, through employment. It's going to be really the pinnacle of York region.
Awesome. Before we start talking about TC4, the one piece that we've not spent a lot of time on is the transit.
Right.
Obviously, last year the Vaughan Metropolitan subway station opened, and it opened up so much, a lot of interesting things that weren't here before.
Huge opportunities.
Obviously, it's
gateway.
Connected. Yeah, but the one I wanted to focus on was York University.
Right.
Because I'm going to let you tell us about York University, because the way students accessed it before versus how it's accessed now, everything's changed there.
Everything's changed.
Take it away.
And I think there's so many layers to the York University story. So the first I usually get in, or I like to talk about, is it's a very stable community.
Yeah.
And the truth is, it's an institution in this community. There's 52,300 students that attend York. 95% cannot live on campus if they wanted to. 71% commute by transit. And this is the most logical space for them to come live. I mean, we're 3 subway stops away. I mean, where do you think a lot of these students live if they are not living on campus? Some are living at home, but there's around 6,200 international students that have no home here. And they're going to want to live in a premier location that has all the right conveniences, that is 5 minutes away. I think there's really no better place. And what it does is it diversifies our community. As an investor, if you're looking at this and you're saying, I want to buy in a condominium building across the street from PwC's office and KPMG's office, I think that's a great story. I think when you say I want to buy where there's a subway literally outside my door and all these other extensions of public transportation infrastructure, that's a great story. But when you also say that there's 52,000 students, that you can rent to, that you can resell to, I think that really diversifies us from a perspective of economic protections. Because in good economies, students go to school and they rent, and in bad economies, students go to school and they rent. And I think the days of American Pie are over. I think in an ultra competitive market like the GTA and in Toronto and in York region, I think a lot of they get this bad rap that I think is no longer the right call on identifying students. But most importantly, it's their parents, for the most part, that are paying their tuition. And again, more importantly, it's their parents that are ones paying their rent. So that makes a very stable renter. And that's what makes this whole community, that's sort of maybe...
It's a layer on top.
It's just a layer on top. So I think there's a lot to say. There's a ton to talk about when it comes to York University. There's 7,000 faculty members. And so I think if anyone attends or works at York University, which is 3 subway stops away, SmartCentres Place, TC 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the other buildings that we're going to have coming online in the future, with all this infrastructure, this is the place to be. There is no other community to live at. And I can tell you that this will be highly sought after when it's all said and done.
So we haven't even talked about TC4 yet.
No, we haven't.
Right at the top, we said we believe this to be the best value prop on the market today. We talked about prices from the 300s. When you start layering on the reasons why your ground level for a 100-acre master plan, top level community that already has jobs here, that has amazing public spaces, amazing retail, you're next door to a subway that opens the door to the entire city, including York University, and you start to see this picture come together. So I do want to talk about Transit City 4 now.
Right.
Give us the sort of quick rundown in terms of how many units, how many stories. Give us the bird's eye view, and then we'll focus on a few key areas.
TC4 is just east of Transit City 3, on the opposite side of Millway. And there we'll have a 45-story condominium building housing approximately 530 suites. Just to the southeast, they'll have a connection through a sky bridge through the amenity program, and they'll be connected to TC5, where we'll have a 50-story building housing approximately 560 suites.
Perfect.
And at the doorstep of TC4 and 5, we'll have a 1 acre park.
That was what I was going to say. So
designed by Claude Cormier.
Yeah. So what I was going to do is there's a lot to talk about in TC4.
Yeah.
Like we haven't. That's what I'm saying.
I'll let you lead the way.
So
I'm sorry.
Let's start on the ground level and then work our way up.
Sure.
So before you walk into your door, you've got a 1 acre park at your doorstep.
Absolutely.
The value of that, you can't really attach a value to that because it's so
hard,
unique.
It's hard to quantify. There's not. I mean, I think the one thing that people will say when they're living in a condominium is, "Where's my green space? Where's my outdoor space?" And I'm sure we're going to talk about amenities momentarily, so we can get to that.
We got to get
up. So when you have a 1 acre park, to give you some perspective, it's larger than Dundas Square. When you have a 9 acre park, that's obviously very walkable too. It gives you optionality, but it gives you this sense of community. It gives you this sense of being outdoors and having that connection to all that.
I think if we put these buildings together with, we're going to talk about 4 or 5 more things. If that was the only thing we talked about, I would be like, that's amazing, that's incredible. And this is what sort of elevates. So so the park is incredible. I think it's a huge feature that cannot be understated. I'm not even going to the lobby yet. I'm going underground. I'm going into the parking structure.
Okay.
You guys have a really cool thing going on with Tesla.
Absolutely.
So tell us about that.
As much as I think everyone loves the public transportation infrastructure, for those of the people that need to run an errand, that want to arrive somewhere in style, you're going on a date or you're picking up mom and dad, we'll have Teslas on a car share program available to all the residents of TC4 and 5. So it's just
awesome.
Another great story of many great stories that get lost in translation when you're talking about the huge vision of Smart Centers Place. So
we're not going up to the lobby yet. We're going to check out the retail space.
Okay.
We know there's going to be some retail, and again, we know retail is always nothing gets finalized till later, but we know there's certain visions in place for the retail. Sure. So walk us through that.
Oh, I think you brought it up earlier. Is the vision on Transit City 1, 2, and 3 was to bring sort of elite food and beverage. Buka is obviously one of the best in class in downtown Toronto, so we're bringing that vibe up here. One of the key elements to urban planning for us is making sure that the daily conveniences are fully, in line with the residences. So I think one of the next steps for us is to incorporate a 5-star grocery component to our community. So if it's not in our building, it'll be across, literally across that park. But our intent is to bring AAA retail to our communities for the best and absolute most convenient access.
You couldn't ask for a better partner than Smart Centre for retail. Right?
So the grocery store is going to be part of our story, part of our community, literally at your doorstep, just like subway access will be at your doorstep. Yeah. So it's really just so much to talk about, right? So let's get to the lobby.
Let's get to the lobby.
Yeah,
lobbies are always an important aspect of every building, and again, CentreCourt have here's the bar. CentreCourt are taking it above the bar. So tell us about the lobby overall design and specifically the furniture.
It starts with the design. It's the details, it's the ceiling heights, it's the finishes, the touch and feel, and that's when you really understand why furnishing with Hermes made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
We weren't
so this is Hermes. We're not talking about furniture packaged by Hermes is a huge deal, and we see this in very, very luxury buildings downtown. And again, this is another element that elevates this building.
When you come home to your home, it's gonna feel like you're walking into a 5-star hotel. Once we get the renderings out and you get to see visually what that lobby looks like, you will really understand incredibly quickly how all this ties together. This is not just the most connected, most central location in York Region, in Smart Centres Place. It'll also be the most luxurious building in all of York Region in Smart Centres Place. And I can say that confidently, and it'll be the best product we turn out, on our huge laundry list of condominiums that are completed or under construction.
Awesome. Let's jump up the elevator and check out the amenities, because the amenities are, again, just
pretty awesome.
Yeah.
State of the art, really. 24,000 square feet of indoor and outdoor amenities. It's the largest amenity programming in the GTA. It's really hard to quantify 24,000 square feet, and I had a lot of trouble quantifying when they show you the key plate, which is just this huge space that is programmed for absolute convenience and enjoyment of the residences. Like, it is a playground for you, your family, your friends, whether it's fitness or yoga, whether it's shared co-working space. We have an indoor running track that overlooks this elite, almost this elite fitness area. We have indoor basketball and squash courts.
Awesome.
You take an elevator up and we'll have a party room, saunas, spa facilities. We have an outdoor pool area, which is cool, that overlooks our 1 acre park, and we'll have barbecues and cabanas. There's so much going on. I'm sure I'm missing something, but when you see the scale and the sheer enormity of this space, you'll understand 24,000 square feet is absolutely,
and ceiling height's been
at double ceiling heights. It's hopefully by the time this is published, we'll have the renderings ready, and if not, take a look back, because you'll understand what that truly looks like.
Awesome. So we're going to go up again, and now we're going to walk into the suites. And again, we sort of alluded to it earlier, but CentreCourt really, really, really do have best-in-class floor plans. We actually are very careful in how we design layouts. And what we do is we design layouts from inside out. We design the building through our floor plans, and we let the floor plans dictate how the exterior is going to look or how it's going to be shaped. And that's led to a ton of success on our part, right? And they're incredibly efficient. They're going to be very efficient from a cost perspective, both on the purchasing side and on the maintenance fee side. And I think you're not going to find anything more efficient, well-designed, more square, more functional in the market than anything. It's simple things, right? Like every bedroom has a window, which sounds so simple, but you look at floor plans and plates all the time, all day, all night, and it's it's the attention to the non-negotiables, and then, like you said, you build the floor plans first, and then build the design of the building around it, and it
plays a big part when you can design. If you can design a building that end users, investors are going to be attracted to aesthetically, but also functionally, and be able to maximize those floor plans so that they're efficient in cost. I think that puts your product further ahead than anyone else's product, and how that impacts pricing and how that impacts resale and all of that. I think you're going to see some of our best work at TC4 and 5.
Amazing.
If you haven't already seen it and you haven't already put it out there, I think it's a no-brainer. When you see the key plate, you'll see that it is the most efficient key plate I think I've seen in a long time.
So I'm going to do my best to succinctly wrap up everything we just talked about.
Okay.
So we said right off the bat, one of the best value props. We're talking 1 bedrooms from the 300s, 1 indents from the 400s, 2 bedrooms from the 500s. This is unheard of pricing right now.
It's been a while.
That's before you start layering all this stuff in. And then we're talking about being on the ground level of a 100-acre master plan community by some of the best master plan designers, not just in Canada, but North America and the world.
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Center ice
in the best location of the new Vaughan downtown. We've already got commercial here. Some of the best commercial tenants.
AAA
commercial
You couldn't ask
tenants.
for better commercial tenants and infrastructure than what we have here. And I'm excited to discover what the next phase is, because that is coming. So
next door to the subway. Steps to a brand new center park.
And I'm going to interrupt you on the subway. I think it's bigger than the subway in the sense where, yes, the subway's across the street. But when you exit TC4 and 5, you'll see Smart Centres bus terminal, and you don't just have an extension to the subway. You have extension to all York Region and Brampton. Right? You have Viva, you have York Region, you have Brampton Zoom at your doorstep. They all come through literally outside your door.
This is the core of the core.
All these people that are going to be commuting by way of getting to the subway, or getting to work, or getting into York Region, or getting into Brampton, they're all going to come through Smart Centre's place, the downtown of York Region, the downtown of Vaughan. They're going to realize awfully quick that this is going to be where they want to live.
For sure.
And we talk about our connectivity to the subway, which is fantastic. It is the most, if it's not the best amenity today for a renter or an investor, it certainly will be in the very short future.
Yeah.
You know, from a standard of living, cost of living perspective, in a world of Uber, you know, a vehicle is maybe not the most economic and practical, you know, item to be, you know, to from a cost perspective. So it actually connects all of downtown to all of York Region. It connects downtown to Brampton in a different way. So I think it's far greater than that. So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's okay.
You were talking about the 9-acre park.
I was trying my best to do it succinctly.
There's no such thing. I mean, the story is just so incredible.
So so we've got the TTC, not the subway, the TTC access. You've got the 9-acre park. You've got the public space, and then we start talking about the building itself.
Right.
At the foot is a 1-acre park. You've got amazing retail planned. You've got this amazing lobby with Hermes furniture that's top of line. You've got this really neat Tesla car share program for the people who don't need a car, who do commute by, use the TTC. Then you've got this incredible amenity program, and then the floor plans and price points that just attract every investor, and you can really quickly see why you're like, you can just sense the excitement from myself and yourself, and I think it's awesome. So was there anything I missed? Please say no.
I don't think so.
No,
I think when you understand the vision and the vision that Smart Centres has for this community, and you can literally walk out the subway and see everything before your eyes, it's something you're going to be awfully excited and proud of to purchase.
For sure.
You know, it's going to make you giddy, and to be a part of this, I think it's a rare opportunity. You know, in the GTA, and I think that it is going to be an amazing story to see grow from not just 2017. Before all of this, but I mean, you know, 5 years from now, 3 years, I'm excited to find out what it's going to look like 2 years from now.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's going to be a premier community once it's done.
Awesome.
And we're going to look back 10 years, 20 years from now and say, wow, that was nothing. Yeah. Just like all the other master plan communities you talked about. And it will be a completely different space. And it'll probably be the premier space in all of York Region.
Amazing. So if clients of ours are interested, what are they going to do to get a unit at Transit City 4 and 5?
They're going to contact their trusted real estate broker, such as yourself, and they're going to try and get more information.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Right.
Thank you.